beautiful people. Good morning. Happy June 23rd. Okay, we start today off with a quote from Henry David Thoreau. Even the tide is wise enough to move in more than one direction. Oh, before I read, I should tell you there's a bunch of freaking annoying people outside my window making noises with beep, beep, beep and, vacuum cleaner sounding equipment stuff. So I apologize in advance, and I'm not too frustrated by this. Can you tell? I was trying to meditate, and I started hearing it. It sounds almost like motorcycles going by sometimes, and ended up having to get up and leave the house so I didn't lose my shit, because I'm not a fan of noise. Like crazy noise, like vacuum cleaner noise and motorcycle noise. Don't ask me why. I know that was a whole lot of information you didn't ask for. But anyway, there was an apology in there in case they start ramping up again. Okay, back to today's reading. Our acceptance of life grows steadily in recovery. Faith and trust, two natural foundations of sobriety, help us nurture a healthy flexibility. If we consider recovery as a weaving, we can imagine the strands of hope, joy, serenity, willingness, and surrender, which we intertwine to form flexible strength. It helps in times when we need to bend with the tide to acknowledge the inner power of this fabric. With the help of our higher power, we can travel smoothly through transitions and weather the stress of disappointment, rejection, loss, frustration, anger, shame, and remorse. Life, of course, will go on being itself, and we will always face obstacles. But our old rigidity, I shouldn't laugh at the way I was saying it. Rigidity in facing life's obstacles will no longer cripple or paralyze us. We are learning balance and finding serenity. We are learning to accept, to detach, and through our higher power, to have faith. Today, let me gain more balance by learning to stand firm as well as to yield. I read this twice, and I had the same kind of thoughts both times, so I guess that's what I'm going to share with you. And I don't know if it's fresh on my mind. So I woke up this morning to two Facebook Messenger notes. And one was from a group that we were in when Uncle Hank got sick, and it has the funeral announcement for Friday. So that was the first thing. And the second thing was the fella that I've been speaking to a lot since he's been trying to give up the drugs, and he's in rehab. And his message was we check in in the morning and night, and he tells me, we're counting the days together. So he checked in for good night. And also this freaking kid impresses me. And I say kid, but he's 30. So I got to just put it in perspective, but he still blows my mind how he's like an old soul in my opinion. But he checked in on me, and it was cute. And he was like, hey, what did you do to work on your goals today? This is not normal people speak, but I'll take it. So that made my morning by him acknowledging my existence as well and checking in on me. So I thought that was cool. And then back to the Hank thing, my brain starts going with the funeral is about an hour and a half away, which is fine. And it's on Friday afternoon. And so my brain got into normal Bobby action mode, where I was like, okay, I just got to move this around and blah, blah, blah. And I'm going to the funeral, and I absolutely will go to the funeral. It's important. And I had written last night. So there's Hank. We used to work with Hank. There's a group of us, and it's the same group. We go out to eat every few months, non-corona time, to catch up with each other. We usually go out for birthday dinners. And it's my old boss, my current boss, and two different girls that had my job that I have now in the past. So we stay pretty connected, and we check in. And I had let them know that Hank was sick and everything that was going on. And the old boss had took a picture of a a hawk and kind of shared the symbolic spirituality piece of what a hawk means. And it was like really close. Like it was on his porch and stuff. And he tied it back to Hank because the hawk was sitting at the corner. Jeez, my vocabulary today. I'm not getting my words. So at the corner of his deck where two pieces intersect. And the hawk was perched right there. And he could, I mean, the photo, it looked like you could reach out and touch it. And he had been with Hank on two different job transitions. So it was like the two pieces of board where they met on the deck were the, representative of the jobs. And then the hawk, the way it was interpreted was like the hawk flew over Hank's old house. And it was just a beautiful sentiment. And I swear I have a point here. And I had written back finally last night. I'd seen it and I wrote back and I was like, thank you for sending this. It was a little bit more comforting. And I guess I needed it, some sort of peace. This one I've been really struggling with, like a little bit of denial. Like, well, Hank can't be gone. Like it's really weird. I can't explain how I feel about this. I mean, he was older to boot. It wasn't like he was like 20 years old or whatever. And I knew this day was coming, but this one's just hitting me really weird. And that was my point when I responded back to the text last night. It was like, thank you for this, like a bright side. And what I realized, and I typed something to the effect of, I haven't experienced this much loss in such a short period of time. And that's what keeps popping in my head with this reading was I've had, I think, a death a month since the year flipped over. And, close, estranged, different facets of my life. So I feel like I've been holding my own as far as dealing with them all, or I come on here and I tell you all about it. But where I'm going with this is in the reading when it talks about having healthy flexibility and picturing this weaving of hope, joy, serenity, willingness, and surrender. And it says we intertwine to form flexible strength. And I feel like that's kind of where I've been in a flexible strength kind of mode. I've been very mindful that I would not be as calm or functional or present if not for my recovery when handling all the loss the last 6 to 8 months that I've been experiencing. And as I'm writing my book and speaking to another point in my life when it was somebody died every holiday, it felt like for 4 or 5 years. It just felt like somebody was dying every time there was a holiday. Maybe that's why I'm not such a huge fan of the holidays. And maybe that's where I created the habit of every holiday ending up at the casino. I think I always justified it that there's 24 hours in a day and they're open 365 days a year. So it was always a place to go. But I always escaped from what I now know, was the pain and the inability to deal with whatever was on my plate. And not having those, the gambling as a resource or drinking as a resource, because that's the other thing is, I took away my two biggest helpers when dealing with the negative emotions. And I think the beautiful part, or the part I connect with on this reading, is I might have gave up gambling. I might have gave up drinking, two of my go-tos. But I believe that I have woven a blanket I'm picturing it as a blanket because they said weave. I don't know. I'm picturing it this quilt with a lot of different colors. But I think that my flexible quilt or blanket, whatever, my weaving of all these things, hope and joy and serenity, and I would add gratitude in there, absolutely 100 million %, willingness and surrender. Those are all elements that I believe are part of who I am now and things that I stand for. And I believe that that's what's helped me be okay, or as okay as you get in this climate. And as well as, you guys, and that is even predicated on me trying to spread hope and joy and let you know that we were in this lockdown together. I don't know who's still left in lockdown with me, but as long as I'm working at home, I'm calling it lockdown. But I think that I've been given a whole different set of tools in my recovery is where I'm going with this. And that, like that line that I screwed up with the rigid word, facing life's obstacles will no longer cripple or paralyze us. And again, I would throw in or numb us because we're hiding behind the bet. So that's how I interpreted today's reading. I know it doesn't have the most positive spin, but any day without a bet is a good day. Any day without a drink right now is a good day. I think if I had quit gambling and was still drinking, I'd said all along that my trip to Asia had purpose, and I didn't know what the purpose was. And I was thinking, I may never know. And I felt like even on the trip, I was on some sort of a search for like an aha moment or something. And I didn't necessarily have that specifically, but I did, make connections and everything. But I really think that to come home from the trip and start dealing with the stuff that had been given to me to deal with, it was foundational. And if I didn't go on the trip, I wouldn't have tried not drinking for 30 days prior to the trip. This is where I think some of the secret sauce comes in. And then, Bob dying of basically alcoholism, and knowing that if I didn't process, and recovery's taught me this, all the different things I've been involved with and the things I've learned is you have to feel your feels. And honestly, I hate that. I hated even saying stuff like that. And this goes back to being open and vulnerable and aware, like so aware of what's going on and what we're feeling and experiencing. So I knew I had to process all that. And I knew that drinking would have numbed it for me, and it would have been no different, essentially, as if I was gambling. It was coping. So I'm really glad that I had started coping with alcohol in 2019, so I was a little more prepared for this length of sobriety. So that's what I got out of the reading. I think what I'd want you to walk away from this thinking today is, are you building your own quilt? Are you looking for those things that your quilt needs? The hope, the joy, the surrender, the gratitude, whatever you want to put in your quilt to keep you strong and safe. That's really the foundation we need is strong, safe, clear-minded. It's okay to feel shitty. It's okay to be sad and angry and whatever else comes up. Life is life, and we're going to feel what we have to feel. The trick is going to be, how do we handle those emotions? Do we bury them, or do we address them? Do we feel them? Do we talk about them? What does that look like? And it's going to be different for everybody, but the essential part is, are we going to be dealing with them in a healthy way or a not healthy way, like a way that does more damage than good? And those are the choices we get to make when we have a clearer brain. So that's June 23rd, folks. All right, I am going to go jump in the shower now. It's really warm. And then I won't hear the noise either. So I'll take that, at least for 5-10 minutes. I hope everybody has a fabulous Tuesday. That's where I'm at, this Tuesday. And I will be back tonight. I cannot believe we are have less than 5 days, I think, on our alphabets. I think tonight is V. We must be on V. So that'll be fun. I've seen a couple of the answers already, but it's growing. I'm really, really so impressed by all the words that people tie into recovery and how diverse the answers are. Excuse my yawning. Sorry about that, guys. I even was in bed by 9 and didn't set an alarm this morning because I know my body's trying to tell me something. My body's like, yo, dude, slow down or get rest or something. I haven't figured it out yet, but I'm not back on my routine that I was on, so I'm trying to sort through that. Anyway, TMI, or I guess it's all relative, because if I'm going through something or trying to figure something out, I share it with you guys. So if it's relevant or helpful to you, that you can take it. If it isn't, then, press fast forward or something. Just kidding. All right, guys, I will talk to you tonight. Have a great day.